Yeah, so it's recording now.
Yep, all good. Wow, we're off to a great start. So, welcome to the Nourish Life call number 9. I can't believe it. 18 weeks we've been running these for, and I must say tonight I'm extremely excited about. I just want to take a second just to really just to honour all of you for showing up. Like, your commitment to your own personal development is really, really honourable, and it's just such an honour to share it all with you. So tonight's call is really all about you, and we do make these calls for you. So can I just get you to raise your hand if you're excited about learning a few new ways to create some ease in your life? Yeah. And can we just get a little bit more excited about inviting in some of the divine feminine into our life? And on that note, I think I might just change my headgear to make it a little bit more appropriate.
Brooke.
Okay. Well, now we're getting into the divine feminine. I'm just certain that all of you are going to really enjoy tonight's call. But before I introduce you to our beautiful host tonight, which I'm sure most of you already know, some of you probably don't know me. So I'm just going to share my story. So before Isagenix, I was really lost. I was struggling with my identity. I went from flying around the world, had this amazing job as a flight attendant, party girl, go-to girl, living the life of what I thought was my dreams, to meeting a man and having my 2 beautiful children. And then in a very short period of time, just becoming really disconnected. I became a homebody. I was unmotivated. I was tired all the time. And my self-worth at that time was about a 2. It wasn't 0, but it was about a 2. Luckily for me, I was introduced to Isagenix by my beautiful friend Jeanette, and she just really believed in me. And that's really why I got started. I just saw it as an opportunity to start something new. And what I found is I then got plugged into a whole community of people that began to cheer me on with my personal goals, with my business goals. And I kept meeting these beautiful people like the person that we have on the call tonight and many of my other nearest and dearest friends. And it's just sent me on a massive personal development journey, and I'm finding myself. So 2 years later, here I am, sharing my story with you and sharing the beautiful person that we have on the call tonight with you all. So there are a couple of things I just need to do before I introduce you. One of those is just to let you know that we are all affiliated with a company called Isagenix. We may be referring to them often. So it's important to know that Isagenix is just food. It does not prevent, cure, or treat any injury or illnesses or diseases. And that's about it. So just during the call, I'd just like you to remain muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat. Type them away in there, and if we can address them during the call, we totally will. Otherwise, at the end, we'll definitely be open for questions. We'll invite you to participate throughout the call. So tonight's call is with a beautiful mama. She is a wellness and feminine power advocate, a spirit junkie, and a freelance florist, hence the fancy headwear. But what I love most about this person is she just pours her heart and soul into every single person she meets. And it's very evident that that's what she also does in every single thing she does, even the lead up to this call. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to our beautiful friend, Emily Titmuss. Welcome, Em. Mwah.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
Oh, you're welcome. Such a pleasure to have you on tonight. We've been so excited about this call.
We have. We've been chattering away and then on the phone, and it's been really beautiful. And I had, from all the conversations we've had, I've had so many ideas and things I want to share. I thought this call might go for 6 hours. So
I know. I was a little bit worried about that. How much time does everyone have? No, I'm kidding, guys. We'll try and keep it into an hour, but
yeah,
we'll keep it flowing. It's
we will. So if, I start by sharing my story.
Please do.
Okay, so thank you. Before Isagenix, I was just a burnt out mess. I was, staying up too late, working from home, trying to be this stay-at-home mum that I really desperately wanted to be. But in my struggle to do that, I was burning myself out. I was staying up. I was working a whole heap of different roles, trying to make ends meet. And what was happening was the nights were getting slowly later and later and later. And so I was truly living on coffee, staying up until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, working on the computer, just so I could get through the day, so that I could, bake bread and do craft and be this beautiful stay-at-home mum that I had this image around. So it was my expectations of what motherhood was like that really sort of I was introduced to Isagenix 2.5 years ago by my auntie Sharon. She came around right before Christmas, and Christmas is such a big time for burnout, for everybody, not just for mums. And she just had all this energy, and she'd been on the products for about 30 days. And I had one of those, I always call it the Harry met Sally moment, where I didn't care what it was. I just wanted it. I don't care. Don't stop talking about it. Just, roll me. And it was true within sort of 4 days of starting the products, because Australia Post, delivers, 7 days a week before Christmas. So I got it before Christmas on a Sunday and started it straight away. And my housework was done by lunchtime, and my kids were like, they were saying, let's go to the park. I was like, yeah, let's go. And before I was like, oh, we might go later, So I really felt like, although at that point the work didn't really ease up, my nutrition flooded in with the products, and as everybody knows, the Ionics, which is amazing. All of a sudden I felt like I could just do more. I could actually do all those things that I was signed up for. So just go and see.
Yeah, wow.
He's just in there. He's just in there. I'll be a bit more.
Hey, Baba.
I know. So what I know now is that before Isagenix, I was totally neglecting myself. I was abandoning myself. I wasn't there for myself. I was so sleep deprived. I did a post on it on my page the other night, and posted some really out there photos, but I really wanted to show the tiredness, the truth of what tiredness actually really looks like for mums. We always put the photos on Facebook when we've, got our makeup on and got our hair.
Yeah, show our best side.
And we hold the camera up high,
Get the great angle.
I know. And I just really wanted to not do that, and be really honest about the fact that, motherhood is hard work, and just, normal life is really, really, really busy. And then to have little people, needing you so much, on top of that, it can be really, really hard work. And you can really, if you're not looking after yourself, things can start to happen, and you'll get little niggly things happen, and then you sort of dismiss them. You think, oh yes, I'll go to the doctor next week, or I'll, or whatever. And it just never really happens. And, what I know for sure is that before this, I was so nutrient deficient. I was so sleep deprived. I was a cafeaholic. I was living on stress, and I had so much messaging surrounding that was just normal. That was the way it was. So many Facebook.
That's just what life is now. Completely relate.
Yep, so many blogs,
Completely
so many memes, I managed to have a shower today, yay me, this is the life of mums. And that was just my messaging. That's what I was receiving. So what I found was that running on empty gives you a pretty rough ride. It gives you a pretty it gives you a life where you feel like you're draining the dregs out of your petrol tank. And, you know, it doesn't take much to kind of turn, you know, a bad day where you're a little bit grumpy into a bit of a hurricane mess. Yeah, and then
easy.
you put the kids to bed, and then the negative self-talk starts, and the guilt, and the, you know, we were talking about this today, Brooke, about, you know, you put the kids to bed and it's been not a great day, and you just want to go and wake them back up and just go, oh my God, Mummy's so sorry, because you sit
Sorry,
there.
I was a bitch. You don't need to see Mummy like that. Like, I don't mean it. I just need 5 minutes. Anyone else can raise their hand, like, is guilty of this. You just need that 5 minutes in the day and then you're sweet. Or an hour would be great.
Yeah.
And you just need to, you know, recollaborate.
Exactly. So what we need to do is actually give those 5 minutes to ourselves. We really do. And if that's all we can get is 5 minutes, you know, that's going to be, it's going to be a start. And what I always talk about is about bookending your day with those 5 minutes, like at the start and at the finish. When you've got really, really tiny babies and you can barely find 5 minutes for a shower, that's going to sound like so much. So my coach, I started with a coach 18 months ago, and what she taught me was this beautiful practice of right before bed. It only takes 30 seconds. Right before bed is just standing by your bedside, have some nice hand cream beside your bed, and just, you know, just rub some hand cream on your hands before you go to bed, and just run your mind over your day and just take note of all the positive things, because there always are lots and lots of positive, beautiful things. And in order to remind yourself that there is always positive things when you're a new mama, even a brand new mama, when it's been a really chaotic day and really stressful, taking that 5 minutes or even that 30 seconds before bed just to do that tiny practice, it will ground you into gratitude. And we've all heard so much about how gratitude is so important. And you know, before Isagenix came into my life, before all these beautiful products came into my life to support my body, I didn't have the mindset or the awareness of any of that, of gratitude, of self-care, self-love. All those terms were just foreign to me. So it's been a real journey of, you know, not only are the products something that's changed my life, but the messaging that has come into my life through being involved with Isagenix, the mentors that I have surrounding me. I hired a coach who's outside Isagenix, who taught me a lot of what I know, and I spent 3 months working with her. And you know, none of this what I'm talking about tonight is brand new information, but for me it was. For me it really, really was. And all of a sudden, the Facebook posts, the blogs, the groups, the mentors, the coaches, the people that I was surrounding myself with were saying different things. They were saying, you know, you deserve to look after yourself. You know, create rituals in your life that are going to ground you into your day, into your mindfulness and presence and gratitude. Then the meditation came in, and all of this. I mean, I've been meditating on and off for a very long time, but when I needed it the most, I just wasn't doing it. It was the first thing to go. Could have been.
I can completely relate to that.
Yeah.
Like we were sharing today is like, I woke up in such a bad mood this morning, and I was like, all the meditating in the world, all the dancing in the world, all my morning rituals in the world are not going to help me today. It was my mindset straight off the bat. And within 10 minutes of listening to my favorite song and dancing, I literally was switched. I was like, think that, you know, just find the time. I think so many times we think in our life, that's not going to work for me. I don't have the time. So it's really beautiful that you brought that up. Thank you.
You're welcome. I've been reading, my coach has just released a book, and she talks about in there learning to mother the mother. And I truly believe that that's such an important thing. I mean, if we're not giving to ourselves, we have really high expectations of other people giving to us, whether that's our partners, husbands, or our kids, or people outside the family, or we look to external sources for for filling up our cups. So, but what we've got to learn is that if we can fill up our own cups, it decreases the expectations on everything around us, and we're just more free to move through our day without needing external things to pick us up. So those external things can be positive and they can be negative. So the more that we turn in and the more that we are internally referenced rather than externally referenced, and we're turning in, learning about ourselves, learning what helps us, learning what helps us to stay grounded and mindful and present and connected, it's going to be different for all of us. But the more we do that, the more we alleviate the pressure on everything else being perfect, the need for perfectionism and the need to control everything around us in order to be...
Well, control's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah, control and perfection is a massive thing.
Especially if you're in control of a house.
Yep.
And raising a family, and
we want it.
That's a big one.
We're told that it has to be a certain way, or else, the negative self-talk starts coming back in. So if we can, what I call bookend our day with some self-care. So there's heaps of different things that that I like to do, and although I talk about rituals, a lot of my rituals are around creating sacred space. I love to get up in the morning and I put on some really quiet music. I've got some beautiful music that I love to play. And I don't know about you, but if you play a track at a certain time of day, like I know when I go and have my shower, I put on a particular album, and the way it starts, it's almost like my body responds to that piece of music. I mean, it's a I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it's yoga music, and it's just this beautiful song that grounds me, and my body responds to that because it recognizes that track. It automatically goes, this is switch off time. Switch off time. And you can use music for that. My coach, I'm just going to run through some of the things that I do that my coach...
So this is your toolbox of getting yourself back to the state that you need to in your day. So it's really important for everyone to know that it doesn't matter how evolved you are. Everybody gets themselves into those states. It's just that what we're trying to do is get as many valuable tools as we can into this toolbox so that we can get ourselves back down to where we need to be to get into a nice space to have a beautiful day.
Exactly. And you're totally right, but because so many, even the most evolved people or the greatest leaders, the level 5 leaders, the Tony Robbins or Marianne Williamson or Gabby Bernstein, they all still have their days where they freely admit that they have times where they're just, what they say, below the line, just acting in a way that's complaining or something negative's happening, and they're not responding in the way that they know themselves to do. But the thing is about them is that they can respond really quickly. They've got a really full toolbox. They've got their awareness, and they can use these things to get them back into a state where they operate at their best. So back above the line. So some of the things, like if I find that I have to unplug at a particular time of night, my coach told me this beautiful little ritual to light a candle when I'm doing my work of an evening, because I spend about an hour to an hour and a half when I'm on my computer of an evening. And then when I finish is to close my computer and say a little prayer over my computer and just say, may it all go on without me. And then I blow out my candle. And she said that will allow you to separate your energy, your personal energy from your business energy, knowing that it is a separate entity. It has its own energy. When you do that, and then you perhaps go into the bathroom, which is what I do, and have a shower, and you press play on that particular track every night, you'll find that doing that repetitively, and consistency is always the key, is that you will just loosen the cords between you and your business, or between you and your online work, or whatever work it is that you do. You can create your own separation ritual from that. So you realize that you're a separate energy, and you pull your energy back to yourself. You can also do another a ritual when you light your candle, when you open up your business, your work of a morning or of an evening or whenever you do your work, you can light a candle, and you can also say a little prayer that is, may I be of my best service in whatever I'm doing this evening. That gives that you're a channel for what you're doing, rather than it's all about you, and it's all about what you can produce and what you can give and what you can. It's more about let you be the messenger rather than the message. So
I love that. I actually think your husband shared that with me one time when I said that. I was like, I'm feeling a bit anxious about leaving the house today. And I'm pretty sure he wrote something along those lines to me saying, hey, try this before you leave the house. And I was just like, can you please post that for us in the thread afterwards? It's just beautiful.
I highly recommend gathering all these little things that you hear and when they resonate with you, that when you remember them after a long amount of time and they're really sticking with you, it's meant for you. And I mean, some of the things that might suit you might not suit the next person, and that's totally fine. But if you're forcing yourself to do self-care and you're stressed out about it, then that's not right. You want it to be totally about you. If you start with 60 seconds of an evening, 60 seconds of a morning, just to say some gratitude. Louise Hay does that. She thanks her bed before she gets out of her bed in the morning. She, thanks her bed for being so comfortable and giving her such a good night's sleep. So she starts her day with gratitude. And for brand new mums, maybe they've got 3 kids under 5 or something like that, and mornings are chaos and they've barely got any sleep, they're not going to want to get up an hour early to do gratitudes and yoga and meditate. They're just not. So to just close your eyes for 30 seconds and just thank your bed and thank your home for keeping you warm and safe overnight, and then going about your day. It's just acknowledging that you're important too, that you really are important too. And so another little practice that I love to do, because I was really, really good at doing too much. I was awesome at doing too much. So what I did when I was pregnant with Tilly, and then I didn't do it again for, probably 5 years, but I did this, and I remember I can still even picture it on the page. I thought, I'm doing too much. I have to get rid of some of this stuff that I'm doing in my life. And so I wrote down every single thing that I do in my life, all the different roles I played, all the different, I was on a couple of boards, I was on the Florist Association, I was, doing this, doing that. And I write down things such as housework and grocery shopping, and I just try to brain purge everything that I do in a week. And when you get it all down on paper, it's incredible how much that you're trying to do. And then what I do is get a different coloured pen, ideally red, and I'm ruthless, and I go through and I cross out as much as I possibly can. And the stuff that I can't cross out, like grocery shopping or whatever, I try to work out a way to outsource it. So if it's grocery shopping, when I was pregnant with Banjo, I thought, right, I'm just going to get, I don't love doing my shopping online and having it delivered. But at that time, it was incredible. It was so incredible for the first 4 to 8 weeks not to have to go to the supermarket. It was a major blessing. So I highly recommend doing that practice like once every 6 months, or if you're just feeling overwhelmed, just do it. It just doesn't have to be sort of set in stone, I'm going to do this every 6 months. Just if you're feeling really overwhelmed, it's highly likely that there's stuff that you're trying to do that's probably not serving you in the way that you think it is. So we all have a problem with asking for help. And yeah,
absolutely. There's a guilt around that too. So when you have a newborn baby, it's not others, but it's generally ourselves. For me personally, I was like, now I'm a mum, I have to nail this. I have to get the washing done. I have to breastfeed the baby. I have to sleep. I have to get the baby sleeping. I have to get the shopping done. I have to get meals cooked. Like for me, that's what mums did.
Yeah.
So I had to do that. Like it was just my idea of what a mum did. Even though on the inside I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be a mum now. I just don't enjoy all of this. Like it's hard. And I was melting down on the inside. And I didn't outsource and I didn't ask for help because I thought I had to be able to do it myself. And it's kind of a mentality that I was in, that, well, you've made this choice, so you're going to have to do it. No one's going to be here to help you, which is absolute bullshit. In actual fact, like, everyone around you wants to help you.
Yes.
You know,
know
but and your own control of that, you know, that need to make yourself proud.
Yeah. And it's also
feel like you're doing the right thing.
It's also the idea that perfect mother nasty voice in your head, because we all have that nasty voice in our head, but when we become mothers, we kind of get another one. So we've kind of got two. We kind of get, you know, our old nasty voice is still in there, and then we get a little mother nasty voice and say, this is what mothers are supposed to look like, and this is what they're supposed to do, and this is how they're supposed to behave, and this is, and then you know, we are listening to that voice whether we know it or not all day, and it can be really, really quiet and just be nattering away at us in the background. And the more tired we get, the more run down we get, the more sleep deprived we get, the louder that voice gets, until it's so loud, you know, that
it ends in a meltdown.
And it all blows
unleash.
Actually, our own, because we haven't settled that voice within us. We haven't taken 5 minutes to sit with that voice and say, what are you asking me here? Why are you being so loud to me right now? We're never going to get rid of that voice, but we can invite it to talk to us and say, what do you need? And it might be just a quiet cup of tea in the sun. It might be, you know, to go to a yoga class. It might be, you know, it's trying to help us. So I think that the more we can embrace that little voice and not try to just go, you know, to flick it off all the time, but just really try to connect in and listen to it. It's really important. So
yeah, I can see here we've got a couple of comments. We all expect ourselves to be perfect, from Sharon. It's so true. It's our own expectation, like, of ourselves at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm not a mum, but can still relate to most of this too as a woman.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your idea of being a wife, the idea of running your own house or your own business, your idea of turning up as an employee, like a mum is one, but you can definitely relate this to all aspects of your life. If you're anyone that does anything, you have your own expectation of yourself, and it's all relatable.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So last year, when I was doing some study, they talked about the support structures, creating support structures in our life as a life strategy in order for us to be able to serve and give the people that are important to us a better, or give to them in a better way. So all of a sudden, when you think about asking for help and creating support in your life as a way that you can serve in a better way, whether it's your kids or at work or in a different capacity, in whichever way that you choose, might be at church or whatever. All of a sudden it becomes a really important business strategy to start taking care of yourself and creating support structures for yourself. So in order to do that, you need to work out what areas you need support in. So doing that overwork check-in, I call, like the big page full of, you know, what you're trying to achieve, checking in on that will identify places where you can ask for help and you can ask for support. So if you can drop the belief that it's weak to need help and realize that it's actually a strength to need help, because you're aware that you need it in order for your output to be better. So if you're constantly bogged down in the mundane, you know, if you free yourself up from some of that stuff, then you can serve in a better way. And it might not be the mundane. Some of the stuff that might be on that list that you cross out might be something that's really, really passionate, something that you love to do, that you're really passionate about. So one of the hardest things I've ever crossed off one of these lists was I was sitting on a board for a long period of time, over 6 years. And it was something that me and my family had been involved in locally here for a really, really long time. And it was an agonizing decision to make, but I knew that if I continued on this board, I was taking up a space on the board that somebody else could have had, number one, the experience of being on the board, which is a brilliant experience. And number two, they would serve in a better capacity. I mean, I knew I was having a baby. I knew I wanted to be this stay-at-home mum. And I thought, that's just more weekends of strategic planning and things like that where I'm going to be taken away from the home. So it was a really hard decision to make, but I put a big red line through it and I typed the email, and the email wasn't received very well. A new board director had just come on, and we'd just lost some funding, and it was a really bad time for them. But it was part of my self-care, although I didn't know that that's what it was back then. And I took that email really, really badly, and I was a bit devastated that it was kind of received like that. But in hindsight, I know it's one of the best things that I ever did. So even, self-care can be things like boundaries. It can be things like having a bit of a life detox, or, sort of just letting that friendship go a little bit if it's not really serving you, or just, it might even be, backing out of a contract or a partnership that you'd sort of agreed to but that you sort of really not lit up about, or it's really not, there's some resistance there that makes you sort of think, oh, I'm not sure about this. Those sort of things.
You're kind of just carrying it along, like,
yeah. Yes,
dragging it along.
That's right. And one of my mentors said to me once as well, how far can you go when you're carrying so much? How far can you go when you're carrying just a small amount? And sorry.
In that moment, you feel you feel completely defeated. But if you really look at it, you're so strong because you're carrying all this extra stuff for so long. You feel defeated, not because you can't keep up, but because you've purely forgotten to let go.
Yeah. We don't have to. We've got to let go of that idea that we have to do so much. So the support structures are really, really important. Support structures around what you're doing, support structures around who you're being. So that might be coaches and mentors and things. And we get so many coaches and mentors for free with Isagenix. It's ridiculous.
I know, it's
I just want to listen to that, and I want to listen to that, and I want to hook into that.
There's so many recordings. You can be there for years. I don't think I'll ever get through them all, actually.
No.
But I know they're there.
Yeah. And it's training and information and support and coaching that it would be worth thousands of dollars to be coached and trained by these people. Like, so, that's part of your support. That's part of plugging yourself into the right stuff that's going to, just lift you up. And then also support structures can be nutritionally. It can, I was so nutrient deficient. I was so, dehydrated, so toxic, so living on coffee, so just under.
I think most mums are really. I've even been listening to like a thing recently on morning rituals, and nearly every single person that I've listened to their morning ritual, because I just know the power in them, says that they drink a litre of water every morning. And it's like even part of the Isagenix system that we have to drink in the morning. But it's something that I've never really done. And so now I've started doing it recently, just that one little thing. And you notice the difference of my energy in the morning. And I think first and foremost, caffeine, but really what I need is hydration.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just so easily overlooked. People reach for a cup of tea, a coffee. Oh, I know for me, I personally do. I know my mum does, like a lot of the females around me that I witness. It's like, oh, I can't start my day without coffee. It's like, can we start a day without coffee? Maybe we can't start the day without water.
But this is the ripple effect of when people say yes to Isagenix, they say yes to some weight loss, or they say yes to some other health benefits like better sleep or more energy, or going to the gym. I mean, we even saw Lockie Horner and some of the big bodybuilding guys up on stage at the most recent event, and they were talking about things like the mindset shifts and the positive community that they've come across and all these other things, and everybody starts for the health benefits, and then the journey that this company takes you on is just phenomenal. And my particular journey has been all around being a mum of young children and learning how to look after yourself and learning how to nourish your body and learning how to, how much food I'm actually supposed to really be eating and not just have a coffee and then drive through McDonald's at 2:00. So I have gone from that to this in 2 years, and so much more. And I'm so hungry for knowledge. Like, this knowledge here is just a regurgitation of what I've just learned in the last couple of years. It's not anything new. It's not something that that I've made up, but it's just a culmination of the stuff that I've been reading, the people that I've been surrounding myself with. And now it's just like a paying forward of that. It's just like, oh, maybe, somebody else needs to hear this and to take.
Can I ask you a really personal question? And sorry to interrupt you. I'm really interested. I know my impact, but what impact has this made on your relationship with your children and with your partner? Like this going from caffeine, going through drive-throughs to, above the line parenting, below the line parenting, which we sort of touched on before, but we can come back to. But what sort of impact or change has your relationships had around you? Which is another thing that people don't know why they're going on a self-development path or Isagenix path. What sort of impact has this had?
So with my kids, I'm so much more mindful of the connection that they need. And I know we were talking about this today, and I was talking about the extension cord. It's like...
I love that.
Yeah, I always, when I pick them up from school or when I come home and I've been out or when I've been away, for a couple of nights or whatever, I always think about the extension cord and providing that I make that connection with my children. And we even have a term, and I know I've told both my children now, Banjo's just learnt it, Matilda's known it for a few years. And I say to them, if instead of playing up, come and say to mummy, I need to connect. And they do. They come up to me with their little arms up and go, Mama, I need to connect. And that is my cue that it does not matter whether the rice is going to burn on the stove or whether, I'm in the middle of this call or whatever. If Matilda came out of that room and said, Mama, I need to connect, I'd just have to go, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, because that they need that in that moment. And if they know that they can get that in that moment, they don't have to use other ways to get that. So I'm waiting for the door to open for her to come out and say that now. I'm wondering whether she hear me.
She heard the trigger word.
But it's a really beautiful thing, and we have a very strict thing where we have a lot of different things that we do, but it's really phones off and in the drawer on silent when we walk in the door. And if Musa doesn't put his phone on silent and he goes and gets in the shower with Banjo or does whatever and it rings, it's like a shock, because we don't have the phones ringing at home. We really don't. We have soft music on. Like when I get home, I always light some incense, put the salt lamps on, turn on the quiet music, and then it's just creating a sacred space for the family as well, so their energies settle into and we all sort of gel. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. I mean, Musa and I have known each other since I was 14 and he was 15, so we've known each other for 25 years. We've been together 10 years this year. So I think the way in which Isagenix has affected our relationship in a positive way is that before Isagenix we were arguing every night about bills and his incomplete bookwork and things like that. And because there were little things, but because I was so stressed and so overwhelmed doing too many things. I mean, we were running the franchise. I was working 3 days a week around the north of the state, going into low-income earners' homes and helping them with energy efficiency. I was doing off-the-plan ratings of houses for their Green Star ratings to be approved to get built. So I was working out, whether it was 100 mil or 110 mil off plans at 3 a.m. Like, it's a wonder any of them were ever correct. And then doing my weddings, which, those are deadlines you can't miss. Like, you just simply cannot miss them. And then it started to feel really weird because I was doing this weekend and night work, and then Matilda went full-time at school. She went into prep. And I was like, hang on, this just doesn't feel right anymore. I'd been taking Isagenix for a couple of months by then. And I was thinking, this doesn't feel right anymore. I'd been keeping up. And then she went, and then I'd have to leave on Friday to go and do wedding flowers and deliver them all day Saturday and pack up on Sunday. And then she'd go back to school Monday. I went, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not working anymore. It was fine when she was home during the week, and then she would be at home with hubby on the weekends. So from before Isagenix, having all this patchy stuff, it kind of worked. It kind of got to there each month, you know, sometimes the bills and the income.
But now you're there to connect.
I did it. To now, in the last 12 months, Matthew's been able to travel 3 times overseas to study with Dr. Alberto, went to Peru, New York and Chile. We've sold our franchise. I don't do any of that work anymore. I closed my weddings business. I've been running that for 8 years. I deregistered with my national accreditation for the Building Thermal Performance Ratings, which was massive. And I had phone calls from the head people just saying, you're the only person who's ever underegistered. And I'm like, okay, see ya. And now I do this. I do this, you know, maybe 2-3 hours a day, but it's just this is, I do this a couple of nights a week. I, you know, have chats on the phone. I, you know, talk to people about, you know, cleansing and making sure they're doing their cleanse day perfectly, and I'm coaching them through those times where they just want to throw it all in and kick the wall, and, you know, it's not working, and we tweak things, and then the next week they're like, yay, happy again. So it's just this really beautiful coaching role, which I never sort of would have planned for myself. And I think, so from before Isagenix, this stressed, crazy, arguing couple that didn't have enough money, to now both living into this really beautiful, just a really beautiful dance of being, you know, I worked with my mum today. She's got some things happening and she needs me to help out at the forest, but I'm free to be able to do that. She came in this afternoon and she's very tired, and she said, oh, you know, I've got to go back down the river to her other house. I have to meet the nurse down there. And I said, that's okay, Mum, I'll come in, you know, because she doesn't have anybody else to look after the shop for her. And I've been working there for 25 years. And to be able to, you know, just say, that's cool, Mum, I'll just come in and open the shop tomorrow. What time do you think you'll be finished? And, you know, to have that's that, just, to be able to support her.
Yeah, it's just, that's so beautiful.
It's far-reaching, and it's just, you know, she popped in and out today and she dropped some things off, and then she went back out and she had to go, and she can just come and go without having to worry. You know, there's nothing she can't do. And I've kind of earmarked the next 6 to 18 months to kind of just be holding space for her journey with the shop in whatever she chooses to do with it. She's 65. She's 60.
So that's the florist.
Yeah. So she's 66 this year, and she's just got some things going on. She's got 2 houses. And so there's a role there that I'm able to do now that I wouldn't have been able to do had I, number 1, been working full time, or number 2, been doing all this other crazy work. You know, so it's kind of been this,
and raising 2 beautiful children at the same time.
They are a bit spunky.
They are. There was actually, everything you've shared really just sets in concrete again. Like I know Beck's on the call tonight. She's a life coach. I know Em's on the call tonight. She's somebody that this is just people that I know personally that has done Dancing Euros with me, is about, you know, embracing the feminine, all mums, just like trying to make this difference, breaking the mold here of making time for yourself. But there was something the other day that really, really set home for me when I was trying to teach my daughter about giving her toys away. And then I had a conversation with you, which really set in concrete how powerful this work is. So when we were on the messages the other day, when we were like, yeah, Em's going to be on this call, you told me that you taught your children about Syria. And for days leading up, I've been trying to get my daughter, because we've got too many toys, but I don't want to separate them. I want them to get them out and give them to children that need them. But I couldn't get her to get through her mind that people don't have houses and people don't have toys. So after we had the conversation, you said you're teaching about Syria. I went, Syria? Of course. I can show her what's happening to the children. So I Googled the children of Syria and brought it up on YouTube for her. And I set her down and I showed her, I said, Bubba, you know how we were talking about those children that don't have any toys and those children that don't have any houses? She's like, yeah. was like, do you want to see them? She goes, yeah, I want to see the children. And I put it on and she was watching it and I watched her face drop. And I started actually crying during it because it wasn't horrific scenes. It was just children laying on mattresses and they're outside. I said, can you see where the children? She goes, Mummy, why are they outside? And I was crying and she's like, why are you crying? I said, they don't have a house, Bub. She goes, they sleep outside. She's 3. I said, yeah, Bubby, they sleep outside. They don't have toys. They don't have beds. They don't have houses. I said, now do you see why I want to give them a toy? She goes, Mummy, turn it off. It makes me sad. So it makes me sad too, but we can make them happy. We can share your things with them. We can share our things with them. She's like, okay. She straight away got up and went over to the toys. She just couldn't understand that nobody has a house because she has a house. So just by bringing that awareness, by you just giving me basically permission to say, hey, you can talk to your kids about Syria. You know, it doesn't have to be sad. She felt sad, but if you show them a way that we can bring good to the world, it just made all the difference. Mm-hmm. She didn't have nightmares. She's not concerned or worried that it's going to happen to her. She's like, okay, well, I want to help, you know. That really, just set home to me the other day, and I just really wanted to share that with everyone tonight.
Children can teach us so much, and when Matilda, I think she was maybe 2.5, the floods in Queensland happened, and there was some big semi-trailer trucks that went from here and took lots of goods up to the Salvation up there, and the truck was donated, the petrol was donated, the crossing on the Spirit was donated, and we were involved in some of that. And I had this photo, and I'll see if I can find it and post it, of Matilda she was standing her back against the wall, and next to her she had a little pile of toys. And we've done this every year before Christmas. We go through the toys, and Tilly pulls out a whole bag full, and it's just something she does as a matter of course. Last year we had a big collection for a girlfriend of mine who was taking in some foster children and just needed a few extra things. And Tilly pulled out some of her really good things and she was laying them out, and I told her the ages of the girls, and she made little groupings of the toys that would all, so it was all fair and they all got a little thing each.
How old is Tilly?
Tilly's 8 now, but she started doing this too. But she just has an awareness around, but we also, I mean, we give to Make-A-Wish through our Isagenix every month. We give $10 a month with our auto ship. We also and I show her the videos, like Keely Johnson from last year, the year before, and her beautiful song. I shared that with the kids, and we've just donated a bike with Andy and Ange Ritchie over to Cambodia, and because you can put a message on the bike and it says "Love from Tilly and Banjo in Tasmania." So, and I said to Ange, I sent her a message. I said, "Could you please," because she's a beautiful photographer, "could you please get a photo of the bike with "Love from Tilly and Banjo" with the child that?" And she goes, "Oh yes, no, we have a framed photo of the child that we send out to everybody that's donated bikes. 175 bikes. They're all brand new sparks." Wow. I know, it's going to be awesome I haven't told the children that they've done it yet, but when we get the photo, I can let them know. So I think it's it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really important for them to
just be aware of what's outside of them,
Yeah. So, okay, there's one practice that I want to share with you because we're almost at the hour. There's one thing there's a video by Jada Pinkett Smith that my coach and I talked about, and what another practice that we implemented was in the mornings, waking up and saying to ourselves, on this day, and just focusing on this day, what do my children need? And answering that, and saying what does my business need, and answering that, what do I need, and answering that, and that will ground you into really being on purpose for the day, and being in a really proactive rather than a responding sort of a fear-based kind of way for the day. So that was just one other thing I really wanted to add before we finished. And also, what I also wanted to add, which is something that I've just been reading about and just been sort of thinking about lately, is that a lot of the personal development development we can do, or the self-improvement that we do, it can be really really self-critical and quite judgmental. So like, when can we get to the point of self-acceptance? And can we get to that point now? And
wow, so beautiful.
And when can we say to ourselves,
that's something,
and when can we say to ourselves that we don't need to be fixed?
I'm enough.
Yeah. So what I've done is, hopefully to make some sense of what I've been rabbiting on about tonight, is I've created a little document, a little free gift for you all. It's over at my website. It's just a free download, and it's just kind of a Word document or a PDF. And you can download it, and it'll take you through these sets of questions that'll help you work out what really is important to you, what your ideal life looks like, and what support structures you can create that are going to help you live your ideal life. So if you want to go over to divinefemininerevolution.com, it's just on the first page underneath the banner. There's a little
I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Under this. If you're not part of the Nourished Life Call and you would like to be, just type in the comments now. And we'll add in the comments as well the link for Emily's website.
Yeah. So I hope tonight's been helpful. We spoke a little bit on.
Thank you so much.
So
you have a website?
Yeah. So
say it again. The divinefemininerevolution.com.
Yeah, just without the. It's just divinefemininerevolution.com. Yeah, that's all over
beautiful.
there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you online. Thanks, Maxine, for writing it out. I'm just going to quickly unmute the line. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask, or
quite happy?
Can you unmute? I don't have the power to unmute anymore. You have to do it, Em.
Okay. Does anybody want to unmute, ask any questions? Just in the bottom left-hand side of your screen if you want to unmute. Otherwise, just pop the message questions in the Nourish chat page, or you can send them to me personally. That's fine. But yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, Brooke, so much for.
Oh, thank you for joining us. It's divine feminine power. Thank you. I really, really, really look forward to hearing more from you. So, please keep posting in our group. We all enjoy it, and look forward to seeing where Emily Titmuss goes from here.
Well, I'll be on my couch and baking bread, ideally.
And please just post about it daily.
Yeah, okay. I will. All right. Have a beautiful evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.